Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammadin al-Nabiyil Ummi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi barik wa sallim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. I am Dr. Mudassir Shahbaz, Associate Professor, Anatomy, Sahara Medical College, Narowal. And today we are going to discuss about the development of urogenital system. In the previous lectures we have discussed about the development of respiratory system and pharyngeal arches. Because you have finished the abdominopelvic region, so it is here, I think so, that we should also understand the embryology of the urogenital system. So here today we are going to discuss about the urogenital system. The one thing that you may have noted that it's a urogenital system, although the functionally and in your body the urinary system is separate from the genital system. But why we have put this urogenital system together in this lecture? Because the genital system and urinary system, they are very much closely related to each other, that we will see during our lecture how they are closely interrelated and why they should be studied unitedly in one lecture or at the same time. So first of all, we see that what development we want to see in our body, about what structure. That first is the urinary system. You can see it consists of kidney, ureter, urinary bladder, and then the urethra. So we will see how these things, kidneys, ureter, bladder, and then the urethra, they develop. And we will then study about the development of genital system, and this here we are showing you the genital system. Here are the testes and epididymis, then the vas deferens, and then the opening. The point here to be noted is that this blue structure, which is vas deferens, it is very closely related with the development of the urinary system also. That we will see how is it related with the development of urinary system. And other point is that you see here the duct is opening into the prostatic part of urethra. This duct, genital duct, that is the vas deferens, along with the seminal vesicle, through the ejaculatory duct, it's opening into the part of urethra. And here from urinary bladder, the proper urethra is extending. And then one single structure, that is the urethra, carries both the urinary and the product of genital system. So here is the meeting point. There must be some similarity here that we will try to find out. And this is the female genital system. Here what we will study, how the uterus will develop, how the oviduct will develop, and how they are related with each other. And during our discussion we will see how they are interrelated with each other. Now, urogenital system, functionally the urogenital system can be divided into two entirely different components, the urinary system and genital system. But embryologically and anatomically, they are interwoven with each other. And how they are interwoven, that we have to understand, that how embryologically and anatomically they are interwoven with each other. First thing is that the common point that both the systems, that the urinary and genital system, they develop from the same part of the three germ layers, and that is the mesoderm and the intermediate mesoderm is a part from where the both system they will develop, and that intermediate mesoderm we will see where it is located. And initially during the development, the ducts of the both system they enter into a common cavity, that is cloaca. We will see when we will study the development of urinary bladder, anal canal, rectum. There we will see the importance of cloaca, in which is the common cavity in which both excretory system of the genital and the urinary system they uh, will open. And you must have listened and seen my lecture on the development of the GIT. And during our discussion in the classroom, we have studied that there is a urorectal septum which separates the cloaca into two parts, urinary system and the anal canal system. Then it is separated into two parts. But initially, the excretory ducts of both systems, urinary as well as genital system, they both open into a common cavity that is named as cloaca. Here we can see the opening of the ducts of the into the cloaca. Here you see that this is part of cloaca, and here it is dividing into two parts, hindgut and allantois, and here the mesonephric duct is opening into the allantois part. Along with that, this ureteric bud is also opening into the same part, and they are interrelated with each other. So this will develop into part of the genital system, duct system, and this will be part of definite kidney ureters that will enter into the allantois. But initially they are entering into commonly into the cloaca, allantois part of cloaca. So the urogenital system, it can be divided into entirely different components, urinary system and genital system. And the embryonic structure that play an important role in the development of urogenital are the intermediate mesoderm and cloaca. Here we see this is the intermediate mesoderm, and from here both the urinary system as well as the genital system will develop. So if we have an overall view of the development of urogenital system, the urinary and reproductive system, they are very closely associated function and development. The two systems have a common origin from the intermediate mesoderm and homologous structure. The internal genital duct system is derived from fetal urinary system. So duct system, it is a duct system. Internal genital duct system also derived from the fetal urinary system. How? That we have to learn, or that we have to understand. How is it closely related with this? And also, if there is malformation of one system, that is, suppose the malformation of the kidney system, that will also affect the other system, that is the genital system. So development of both system is a malformation in both system is closely interrelated also. And the ventromedial urogenital ridges, genital ridge form gonads, and the dorsolateral will form the. And it is here to be noted that it's the paraxial mesoderm which interacts with the intermediate mesoderm to form the urogenital organs. And the paraxial mesoderm messages PAX2, PAX8. These are the transcription factors, PAX2 and PAX8. PX you can say, or you can say PAX. These are the factors from the paraxial mesoderm which stimulate or which interacts with the intermediate mesoderm to form the urogenital organs. So here see is the paraxial mesoderm, here is the intermediate mesoderm, and then here are the lateral plate of the mesoderm, which are related with formation of other system. So intermediate is stimulated. Intermediate mesoderm is stimulated by the paraxial mesoderm. And what is the urogenital ridge actually is? Urogenital ridge. It's a longitudinal swelling in the dorsolateral side of the abdomen. And here we see it. This is the posterior cut section, showing the posterior abdominal wall, and here is the aorta, and then here is the aorta, here is the cut system. And if we move laterally, this is the intermediate part and this is the lateral part. Here from this area, it's a longitudinal ridge. That's called as urogenital ridge. And from this urogenital ridge, from the will develop urinary system as well as the genital system. And this urogenital system, urogenital ridge, is formed from non-segmented intermediate mesoderm and proliferation of surrounding mesoderm of the coelomic epithelium. Lateral urogenital ridge, the nephrogenic plate form the urinary organs and the internal genital organs, while the medial one will form the, here we see in this diagram, that is the medial part, ventromedial part and dorsolateral part. Ventromedial part will form the genital system and dorsolateral form will form the urinary system or kidney system. Here again in this diagram, which is very much clear, is that showing gonadal as well as nephrogenic cord or development of the urinary system, and both combined is called as urogenital ridge. So what we have understood that it is located on the posterior abdominal wall developmentally, and it is the intermediate part of the mesoderm which will form the urogenital system, and this intermediate mesoderm is stimulated by the paraxial mesoderm, and the ventromedial part of this urogenital ridge will form the gonads, and the dorsolateral part will form the nephrogenic cord or the kidney system. So now we have understood basics, that is longitudinal from cervix up to the lumbar region or sacral region. This structure is present, and it is the intermediate part of the mesoderm where the urogenital ridge is forming. So now we come to the basic of the development of the kidney. So three basic systems, they are concerned with development of kidney. Again, I will request to recall the initial understanding what we have learned about this, about the intermediate mesoderm, about the urogenital ridge, and we should have a understanding why the two systems, they are closely interrelated with each other. Now we can well understand the development of the kidneys. Three systems, they are related with the development of the kidneys. Number one is the pro one. Pro, it means it will be the very first pronephric system. Nephric kidneys, pronephric system. So it will appear in the beginning of the fourth week, very early, and it will develop in the uppermost part of that longitudinal ridge, that is the cervical region. And It's the analogous kidney of the fish and others. But it's not functioning in the human beings and disappears very early. So this pronephros, the most cranial part in the cervical region and most early to develop at the beginning of the 4th week. Second is here is the mesodermal part, mesonephric part, intermediate, the middle one, mesonephric system. So it appears at the end of 4th week, while the pronephric system is disappearing. At that time, the mesonephric system starts developing, and it develops below the pronephric system. So it will be in the thoracic and the abdominal region. Thoracic and the abdominal region. Mesonephros. So, and from the analogous kidney in amphibians, and it functions, but it functions temporarily. It's not the permanent. Again, as the pronephric system was not the permanent, so the mesonephric system is also not permanent. But it's not that the whole system disappears. We will see how it disappears. It functions temporarily, but in the males, the remnant of this mesonephric system, they will form the genital ducts. So here we understand how the genital system and the urinary system, they are related, because the duct system of the male genital organ is developing from the mesonephric part of the kidneys. That the mesonephric duct. Here is the mesonephric. We will see how it is related to this. And in both sexes, the ureteric bud will originate from this mesonephric duct. The third part, metanephric system. It appears at the 5th week and it appears in the pelvic region. So both system, pronephros was developing in the cervical region. Mesonephric was developing in the thorax and the abdominal part. But the metanephric system, it is developing in the pelvic part of the body. And it starts functioning at the end. So it means that what we have understood is that it's not the pronephric system that will form the permanent kidney, because it will disappear in the 4th week. It will not be the mesonephric system which will form the kidneys, permanent kidneys. It will also disappear. Only part of this system will remain. But the definite kidney is formed by this part of the embryologically urinary system, that is the metanephric system. So this will form, and it is located in the pelvic region. And the kidneys will start functioning at the 9th week. So what we have pronephros is a rudimentary, non-functional. Mesonephros is functions, but for a short time, early fetal period. But the permanent kidneys, they are formed by the metanephros. Pronephros starts in the 4th week, early in the 4th week. Mesonephros at the end of 4th week. Metanephros, that is in the 5th week and in the pelvic region. Pronephros in the cervical region. Mesonephros, thoracic and lumbar region. Metanephros in the pelvic region. So we start with the pronephros. Pronephros, beginning of 4th week, and it is represented by 7 to 10 solid cell groups in the cervical region of the nephrogenic cord. And we see here is the pronephros. Here is the mesonephros, and then is the metanephros. Here is a metanephros, here is a mesonephros, and here is a metanephros. So this part of the pronephros, it is related to the nephrogenic card, but it's non-functioning and it disappears very early, while the mesonephros, it will function temporarily, while the definite kidney will be formed by the metanephros. So these group form the vestigial excretory unit, which are made of pronephric tubules and single descending pronephric duct that will disappear. Some says that pronephric duct ending in the cloaca, however, persists. In some books says that the pronephric duct ending in the cloaca persists. At the end where it joins the cloaca, it persists. But then it becomes fused with the mesonephric duct when the mesonephros develop. Otherwise, whole is well. So, but here again, it's the pronephros tubules when they are degenerated. The middle part of this pronephros induces the mesonephros. The induction is middle part of the pronephros induces the mesonephros to the molecular system to and also induces the metanephros. So efficiency in function is through the pronephros, mesonephros, and then the metanephros. Here we see pronephros, mesonephros, metanephros. Initially they say the pronephric duct opened into the cloaca, but it fuses with the mesonephric duct later on. So then is the mesonephros. Again, we should keep it in mind that mesonephros is the middle part of the developing urinary system, which start developing by the fourth week, end of fourth week, and it also at the fourth month it disappears completely. Only remaining part is the mesonephric duct. And before its degeneration, some of its cells migrate and may form the adrenal gland and gonads. Take parts in the some parts of the cells. They migrate and develop into the adrenal gland. Take part in the development of adrenal gland and the gonads. So here we see 70 to 80 S-shaped tubules they are forming. Here we see S-shaped tubule they are forming in the middle part of intermediate mesoderm. Medial end of each tubule is invaginated by an artery of dorsolator forming glomerulus, and lateral end open into the duct system, which is the mesonephric duct. Here we see that this is developing 70 to 80 S-shaped tubules they are forming, and they are opening into the duct system, which is mesonephric duct system. Here we see the mesonephric duct system. So these are S-shaped, forming a glomerulus having an artery from the dorsal aorta. Is a mesonephric tubules because it is having part of nephron-like glomerulus and a capillary system from the dorsal aorta vessel. So it functions temporarily initially. Temporarily, not permanently. Its age of the embryo is 9 to 26, and it's the pronephros which induce the formation of mesonephros, and mesonephric tubules form from the nephrogenic plate as pronephros degenerates. So here the formation and degeneration process is shown. The mesonephric tubules bud off hollow in the renal vesicle and elongate, forming mesonephric tubule. And proximal end enlarges, that is the medial one, enlarges into a double-walled Bowman's capsule. Is the proximal mean medial one into Bowman's capsule. This Bowman's capsule is invaded with vascular internal glomerulus forming mesonephric corpuscle. We know that very well. The corpuscle, mesonephric corpuscle, that the Bowman capsule is a cup shape in which the branch of the dorsal aorta comes, and that forms the capillaries, so they form the mesonephric corpuscle. So the mesonephric tubule differentiate into thick, dark staining proximal excretory segment and thin, light staining distal collecting system, and that distal collecting system is the mesonephric duct. And these mesonephric tubules, they drain into collecting tubules, extending quality to join the existing pronephric duct, and this mesonephric or Wolffian duct opens into the cloaca. So the pronephric duct is disappear actually, and what remains is a mesonephric or Wolffian duct. Again, if we recall ourselves, all the events again, so here in this diagram are shown the development of mesonephros. It will start at the end of 4th week, and the thoracic as well as the abdominal part, and it is in the intermediate genital ridge, urogenital ridge, dorsolateral part of the intermediate mesoderm, and it starts by this S-shaped tubules formation. The proximal or medial end is forming Bowman's capsule, innervated by the branch of dorsal aorta, and then is a tubules, mesonephric tubules, which opens into a collecting system which is called as mesonephric duct system, and this mesonephric duct system then opens up into the cloaca. One thing here in this slide what I have observed, and you must have observed, here this part is shown, and this is paramesonephric duct, and here it seems to be that this is also related with this urogenital ridge, this paramesonephric duct system, although it is more laterally than the of the three. That's the gonads, then is the urinary system, kidney system, and then most lateral is the paramesonephric duct. Although this is related with the development of female genital organs, but we should here, it's a question arises why it is shown here, so we can understand that if the gonads are developing into testes or ovaries, but the duct system in the female, that is not related with the mesonephric duct, it will be paramesonephric duct. So it was by the way, by the diagram we have seen, but main thing we are concerned with is here is shown the development of mesonephros or mesonephric system. Then is the metanephros. So that will be, inshallah, we will discuss in the next lecture. But here up to mesonephric system we have learned, and what we have learned today is that why the urogenital system is closely interrelated with each other, and what stimulates. We will study, we will see the timeline, and we will see how the induction is by the pronephros, what are the factors which are involved in it, but we have understood until now I will move to the very first slide. So we have studied the urogenital system is how it is functionally, anatomically and embryologically it is woven, interwoven, and here we see the slide how they open into the cloaca system, both systems together, And what we have seen from where it is developing from a urogenital ridge, intermediate mesoderm, then is the urogenital ridge, longitudinal structure, and then this urogenital ridge, the ventromedial part, gonadal system, and dorsolateral part, that urinary system. And here is shown in this diagram that urogenital ridge, showing here you can define it's a ridge, it's a swelling in the intermediate part of the mesoderm, lateral to the paraxial mesoderm, which develop into the urinary and genital system. The ventromedial part of this urogenital ridge will give rise to gonadal system, while the dorsolateral part will give rise to the nephrogenic system, the kidney system, nephrogenic cord. So initially the kidney development, 3: pronephric, mesonephric, and metanephric, and it's 4th week, and early in the 4th week, then in the end of the 4th week, and in the 5th week. These are sequence, and the location is, we have understood the location and their similarity with the other animal system. And then the pronephros, mesonephros, and metanephros, how they form. Now the pronephros and how it appears in the 4th week, then it degenerates completely. Only remaining part is the pronephric duct, which is at the end is invaginated into the mesonephric duct. So we have understood all these structures, and then we have studied the mesonephric system, how it develops, how the S shape, the mesonephric tubules, they are formed, the Bowman's capsule, then the mesonephric tubule, they are opening into the mesonephric duct system, and the mesonephric duct is then opening into the cloaca of the fetus, allantois part of the cloaca, which will develop further into the urinary bladder. So we have understood all these things, Bowman's capsule and mesonephric corpuscle, and here in this diagram we have recalled all the things. Now inshallah we will study the metanephros in the next lecture in detail. Before closing my lecture, I want to discuss one thing with my students. Although this example is more related with the female students, or some male students, they can apply in some other way this example to them. But if you are at home and if you are asked by your mother or father to do some work, for example, in female, your mother asks you to cook something for the home, then there is a internal stimulation that, oh, I have to cook for the home, and your excitement, internal excitement. Now you start cooking. You cook with your heart and always praying to Almighty Allah that may Allah, it should be very good and tasty for the home, for all the persons. And when you cooked it, you finished it, you garnish it with something, so that what you have cooked, that should be looking beautiful to the others. And when they eat, when your family members, they eat their thing, they taste their thing, then you are praying that, oh Almighty Allah, that should be very delicious, and all should appreciate it. And when they say that, oh, it's very beautiful and very delicious, so the enjoyment, the happiness that comes into your inner self, that is not explainable in the words. You cannot explain that happiness, that joyness in words. It's a feeling. So try to collect that happiness. Try to find out that happiness while you are doing any work. Think of your teachers. Try to study. Try to study. Try to reproduce the thing in such a way that your teachers, your colleagues says that, oh, it's very beautiful. Then at that time they join us. The feeling that will develop into you, in your inner self, that are not explainable. That joy. Try to find out that joy in every field, in every work that you do, in your daily work. You will find the happiness. Inshallah, 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 you will find it. I know that you are all the students, they are very hardworking, they are very conscious about their future, and they are working hard. And inshallah, I know that they will find a way to cope the situation. Inshallah, inshallah. And the next time, inshallah, we will discuss development of the definite kidney, that is the metanephros. Allah Hafiz.